Today there are dangerous updates from Moldova. Here, Moldova has declared a nationwide energy emergency, as authorities warn that the country can no longer sustain the cascading Russian pressure caused by the war next door in Ukraine. To counter its effects and constant Russian hybrid attacks, Moldova is now working side by side with Ukraine to reduce its dependence on Russia, and is doing so in record time. The Moldovan parliament has just recently ended the 60-day state of emergency in the energy sector after only 30 days. The state of emergency was initially declared for the full 60-day period after Russian strikes on Ukraine disrupted a critical high-voltage transmission line linking Moldova to Romania, which passes through 40 kilometers of Ukrainian territory in the Odessa region. This line normally supplies up to 60 to 70% of Moldova's electricity at peak times, and its sudden disconnection has placed the entire national grid under strain. Moldovan officials worked extensively in coordination with Ukraine to fix the emergency in half the time. This helped avoid rolling blackouts and electricity usage limitations for longer periods of time, while the emergency powers the state of emergency granted allowed the Moldovan government to mobilize resources to prioritize and protect critical infrastructure and ration remaining supplies. Prime Minister Alexandru Munteanu made it clear that this was not panic, but a necessary response to a crisis directly triggered by Russia's war and strikes against Ukraine. The targeting of the line was a Russian attempt to exploit Moldova's structural vulnerability, as its Soviet-era energy system remains tightly interconnected with Ukraine and Romania, meaning every major strike on Ukrainian infrastructure reverberates across Moldovan territory. Since 2022, repeated disruptions have caused outages, voltage drops, and system instability. The situation has now escalated beyond electricity, as the recent Russian strike on Ukraine's Novodnestrovsk hydroelectric plant caused oil pollution in the Dniester River, which supplies water to roughly 80% of Moldova's population. Tens of thousands were left without water, while authorities this time declared an environmental emergency, with President Sandu stating that these are not accidents but deliberate attempts by Russia to weaken Moldova and leave it vulnerable. At the same time, pressure continues through direct spillover of the war, as Russian drones continue to cross Moldovan airspace during attacks on Ukraine, sometimes crashing on Moldovan territory. Since the beginning of the year, multiple such incidents have been recorded, with last violations in March and April. These incursions are officially described as serious breaches of sovereignty, but their impact goes beyond diplomacy. Each overflight or crash increases the risk to civilians, raises fears of escalation, and exposes gaps in Moldova's airspace defense. Debris can cause fires or contamination, directly affecting local communities, and over time, these incidents erode public confidence and amplify a sense of instability in a country already under massive strain. This dynamic plays directly into Russia's broader strategy, as Moscow is not only applying pressure through military means, but also shaping the narrative around the crisis. Russian officials and media argue that Moldova's energy problems stem from internal mismanagement and political decisions, noting that Transnistrian plants once covered up to 80% of Moldova's needs at significantly lower cost. However, this Russian hybrid warfare narrative omits the critical fact that it was Russia itself that cut gas supplies to Transnistria, rendering the plant in question largely inoperable. However, by shifting blame for this, Russia seeks to create confusion, deepen political divisions, and undermine trust in Moldovan authorities, while maintaining the perception that dependence on Russian energy remains the only viable option. Despite this pressure, Moldova's government has begun a systematic effort to reduce dependence on Russian-linked energy structures. Gas supplies have been diversified through connections with Romania and broader EU markets, effectively ending near-total reliance on Gazprom. European financial support of €250 million has helped stabilize the prices of both gas and electricity and secure alternative energy sources during shocks. At the same time, Chisinau is moving to reclaim control over strategic infrastructure by deciding to force Russian-linked Lukoil Moldova to return airport fuel facilities back to state ownership, citing national security concerns and failure to meet regulatory requirements. Overall, Moldova finds itself under mounting pressure from Russia from multiple directions. Russian strikes on Ukrainian infrastructure directly affect its energy and water systems, while hybrid tactics seek to shift blame and destabilize society. Yet Moldova is responding with a long-term strategy that goes beyond crisis management. Additional important reforms include market liberalization, integration into EU energy frameworks, and long-term contracts with alternative suppliers. These moves are part of a broader pattern to limit Russian economic and political influence. By declaring an emergency, securing critical assets, and accelerating integration with European systems, Moldova is not only reacting but actively reshaping its future. If you would like to explore other key developments today that we couldn't cover in this video, make sure to visit our interactive news map. The link to our interactive map is in the description below. Thank you for watching this update, and a special thanks to everyone already following our interactive map.